Okay. Hello, Margarita here, and I'm so excited for today. Today is a really powerful masterclass, and I'm so glad you were able to join. I know a lot of folks were wanting to pop in, but they were either driving or something, something had popped up. And so I'm so excited that you actually were able to show up today and join us because it's going to be a really powerful event. And although I'm not going to be performing an activation in this masterclass, it is going to be something that will actually be like an activation in itself, even though it's not actually there. So I'm just adjusting some settings here. Okay. And can everyone hear and see me okay? Let me know in the chat box. And saying hi to Alyssa, Annika, Autumn, Brittany, Cindy, Diana. So glad to have you here and welcome. I'm just going to let folks, as they're coming in, just share a little bit. So welcome for coming to the How to Be Visible as an Empowered Lightworker Masterclass. Access the tools to get aligned with your message, express your authentic truth, and create the impact that you want. So I'm so excited to see you here. Let me know if you can hear and see me okay. Just adjusted some settings here because I think it was a little off, but it looks like it's all set now. And so I invite you to turn off your phones unless you're watching me on your phone. Make sure you're not going to be distracted for the next hour and a half because we're going to really go deep diving into a lot of these pieces around visibility. And before I even go into all of that, it's just been the reason I was even called to do this masterclass anyway, is because, I've been really getting a lot of traction in the past year with social media. In fact, some of you have found me through social media, but I have been doing this work for a while now. I opened up my private practice as a healer 13 years ago, and it's been a journey ever since. And maybe some of you know me through my chakra healing book that is a #1 best-selling book on Amazon. So I've been doing things since then, right? And so I'm going to be sharing a little bit more about my story and how you can learn from my mistakes and also my wins with what I've been experiencing in this journey and opening up into. And also really learn from the wisdom that I've been garnering in the past couple of years in regards to visibility. And I'll share with you, I might as well just share with you what I'm going to cover today. So I'm going to cover here the real reason why being visible is important for all light workers right now. If you've been feeling the calling, there is a reason why. If you've been feeling like, either if you're just at the beginning stages or maybe you're more advanced and have been doing this for a while, maybe you feel like you're at some kind of plateau or maybe you're not getting the impact that you want. So this is good that you're here because you can use your visibility to connect with people. I mean, that's really what it's all about. It's not, for all these other extraneous outside of yourself experiences. It's really to create relationships and create connections. And I'll share with you later why that's really important, aside from the fact that, it's good to be cultivating that period in your life. And so glad to see you all here as you're popping in as well. Clara and Diana, Emily, Jen, Julie, Maya. So yeah, so say hello in the chat box. And I see that there are already 10 questions. And so, oh, people are putting it in the questions and answers box. Okay, so make sure that when you're leaving a comment, it's in the actual chat box versus the Q&A. The chat box is disabled. Okay, so let me make sure. So Rebecca, she is my assistant. And so Rebecca, if you can please fix that so that people can go ahead and post in the chat. Just going to make sure. Okay, yeah, she's on it. Okay, so the chat is disabled. She'll make it undisabled. Okay. All right. Okay, chat box is disabled. Thank you for letting me know, everyone. I'm just going to put that here on the side just in case. But yeah, so let me see if there's anything on my side just for housekeeping's sake. Okay, let me see. I think I can. All right, I think I might have fixed it on my end. Hopefully that is the case. Let me fixed. All right, Angela, thank you. Okay, so it was a little tweak on my end. Woohoo! Hey everyone, says William. All right, here we go. Now the floodgates are open. All right. So that said, it's like you're so excited to be able to chat in the chat box, and I'm so glad that you're here. So let's just put that up front and center, that I'm so glad you're here. And since there are a lot more people that have joined since I last just opened this, welcome to the How to Be Visible as an Empowered Lightworker Masterclass. I'm Margarita Alcantara, and I am going to bring you through a journey of how to be more visible as an empowered light worker. For so many reasons, this is important. As you know, I have been really on this journey for a while, and there's a lot of wisdom I've garnered, and I can't wait to share it with you. And so I'm going to cover the real reason, like I said, why being visible is important for all light workers right now. And for those of you who have been joining me from being on my live before, because I have this weekly live show on Mondays at 2 p.m. Eastern time on Facebook and Instagram, and so I'm noticing a lot of familiar faces that were from there. Saskatchewan, Canada. Hello there, Rita. And Christine is here from Tennessee, and Diana from Oakland. And I saw someone from the Netherlands. Oh yeah, Ronald's here from the Netherlands. Maya's here from Atlanta. So glad to see you here. And Alchemy Coach is here from Belgium. So amazing. It's a worldwide experience, folks. So, you know, that's what it takes. That's what it takes. It takes all of us showing up to light that way. Right? And that's why you're here, because you are here to light the way. And maybe you're already lighting the way and you just want to judge how you're lighting up the way, or maybe you just want to learn how to show up in a greater way. So you're in the right place. So what we'll also cover is the tools and steps of what works and what doesn't, because that's also important when it comes to being visible as a light worker. I'll share with you my own evolution in my visibility so you can learn from my mistakes and wins. And so if you saw my IG story yesterday, I was giving you some behind the scenes of what I was going to be including in today's presentation. And so I actually, just like giving you a little teaser here, I actually included my first live. It wasn't my very first live, because I had like dabbled for maybe once or twice beforehand, but the first live where I actually just spoke my truth, came out as a starseed, talked about all the things, and I was petrified, and it was horrifying to even turn it on and hit record. And so I have that first one there. So even though it's super cringy for me, it may be some comic relief for you, or maybe you'll just be familiar with it. Maybe you're there right now. But it'll give you some perspective of what that trajectory looks like, right? Because that first video I had was from 5 years ago. And then, you know, fast forward to now, things are different. Things are way different. And so I'll be sharing my evolution with you so that you can get an understanding. And also some of you are curious about, you know, what I've been doing and how I've done things and stuff. Because, you know, as I said in yesterday's post, which by the way, it was pretty popular on Instagram. It's already almost at 1,000 likes, and the likes are not so important. It is you know, it's an interesting measurement, but what I'm saying is that it resonated for a lot of people. And the reason why is, besides the Guns N' Roses song in the background, which was awesome, and the time portal gold portal situation that I had put into that tweet reel, it was really talking about the fact that I did not pop out of the womb feeling confident with my voice. I did not want to even show up. I didn't even want to be seen. I mean, I am that person when I was younger who would wear long sleeves during summer because I didn't want people to look at me. Like, I was that person. So I just want to give you some perspective of the fact that I didn't pop out of the womb feeling confident, feeling self-assured, knowing what I'm talking about, and showing up in my leadership as a light worker, that was a cultivation, and it's a journey, and if you're doing that work, it's going to be deep. Okay, it's going to be deep. You're going to go through all the dark nights of the soul. You're going to go through all the gauntlet of your transformation. You're going to stand in that fire of your own transmutation. And I've done that and then some. And so that's why my frequency can be very strong, right? So because I've done a lot of stuff around that. And I'm loving this. Everyone's still introducing themselves and they're from all over, right? And so I'm so excited you're here. I found you on YouTube with Washayla Sananda's interview, my first live with you. Oh, hey, Claire, good to see you. And yeah, Washayla, she's a dear friend and colleague of mine. And we talked about star seeds, and some people recently found me from that YouTube. And again, Washayla, she's an example, right, of another starseed, because I'm a starseed. She's an example of another starseed who is showing up. She is being visible. And what happens when you are being visible? You make impact, right? And the last thing I'll share with you today is what I didn't know back then that I wish I knew, and what I know now. So with that said, so glad you're here. Yeah, it's really an understanding of your own experience and who you are, right? And one thing, just to before we even get started, one thing that no one really talks about when you're a light worker, because when you're a light worker, you think, okay, yeah, just work with love and light, do energy work, and I'm set, right? No, you're also, if you are showing up and offering your services and helping people, right, you're going to have offerings and products maybe, because some folks do products like spiritual products. Some people will provide spiritual services. So you're actually spiritually conscious entrepreneur if you are really in your spiritual consciousness and you're an entrepreneur. And there's a whole different way of approaching visibility and also social media when you're a spiritually conscious entrepreneur. So that is important to know. And when you're an entrepreneur, period, you are also making sure that you are on top of your self-development. Like, I mean, no one talks about that really, but that is like one of the cores of being a successful entrepreneur, is knowing yourself, developing yourself, and being committed to that and committed to your own growth. If you're not doing that, then, like everything is basically luck, right? Because you're just landing and seeing what sticks. And so I'm going to be sharing with you some of the ways that I approach things so that maybe you can upgrade your perspective, hopefully get inspired to maybe upgrade how you're doing things, see what works for you. And if certain things don't, then, leave them be. And if other things do, then keep working on it, right? So before I go into what I wanted to share, I'm going to just open the space right now. Just going to open the space. And just as a reminder too, I say this on my lives as well, but there's going to be time at the end of my share here today to answer some questions. So if you've got some questions about being a visible light worker, not general questions about chakras and healing and wellness and all of that, right? Like, keep it to the point. We're going to talk about visibility as an empowered light worker here. So I will have some Q&A at the end, and I will answer your questions then. And then in the meantime, let's just open up the space and just drop down in the energy of your heart. Feel the energy of everyone here in this room, our virtual room, that is. And just feel that frequency start to rise. Rising that frequency, letting that rise up collectively. And whatever's happened in your day so far, or if it's evening for you, what happened earlier in your day. And just allow anything that's been kind of in your mind to just fall away right now. Any to-dos, anything you're worried about, what you're going to make for dinner, all those things, just let it go. Just let it roll off your shoulders. And for right now, just be present with yourself. Be present with our circle here. And just get still and allow your heart to open. And with open heart, just really knowing that you have come here to this training for a reason. You've come here to upgrade yourself, upgrade your voice. And so it is with that intention that we are going to open up the energy of this training today. Okay, and then just coming back and setting forth that intention that you get what you came for today, that you will, at the end of this training, come away with something that you'll be able to apply immediately in your life, immediately, maybe on social media, or the way you do emails, or the way you reach your people, or maybe even how you hone down on who your people are, right? All of this is super important. And so allow this excitement that we are all entering in with, right, to charge up the frequency of our masterclass today with a higher frequency and vibration, and really opening up into that field. Clara says, happy to be here, just got home. Clara from The Hague, the Netherlands here. So good to see you. Yeah, William is saying, we all going to level up today. I can feel it. You're right. I can feel it too. And Hong Kong, Linda is saying, I want to be an empowered visible light worker. Yes. And that's great that you want that, right? Because it's important to open up into that. So without further ado, I am going to open up. I made a little presentation for you today. So hi, Leilani, good to see you here. She's here from Seattle. All right, here we go. Okay. Oops. Just making sure. Okay, I see what's going on here. Let me share my screen with you so that we can begin. All right. Bring my chat box on here. Okay, so welcome to How to Be Visible as an Empowered Light Worker. Access the tools to get aligned with your message, express your authentic truth, and create the impact that you want. All right, so you're in the right place. If you are a powerful light worker who is tired of not being visible and creating the impact that you want, you're looking for a breakdown on the steps on how to be visible. And mind you, I'm not going to go into like the nitty gritty and all the minutia around things like such as reels. I know a lot of you have been enjoying my reels on Instagram, and I'm loving that, and I'm so excited about that. But I won't be sharing those details, but I will be giving you the steps around how you get to open up into even start doing that, right? Because it's really about how you're approaching things. As you know, when you're a light worker, it's about energy. I mean, everything's about energy anyway, right? Even if you're not a light worker, everything is energy. You feel the urgency to awaken the planet. You've decided that now is the time, and you're not willing to tolerate not being seen and not having the impact and not experiencing the abundance and breakthrough you want to have, right? Because when you're a light worker, you're not just here to work yourself to the bone, right? You are here to, yes, do the work, share your power with a light with the world, right? And to really help transformation and to be abundant and joyful and love and life, right? So you get to have all that. And you have been visible as a light worker, but you've been missing some things and don't know why you're not making the impact you want to make. So here's what you'll learn by hanging out with me today. So the real reason why being visible is important for all light workers right now, tools and steps for what works and what doesn't when it comes to being visible as a light worker, my own evolution in my visibility so you can learn from my mistakes and wins, and what I didn't know back then that I wish I knew and what I know now. And also I will have an opportunity for you at the end where you'll have my support in executing and implementing the steps that I'm giving you right now and to go deeper with the teachings. So conversely, this training is not for you if you are not willing to be visible in your Lightworker power, you are not motivated by your Lightworker purpose, you are not interested in awakening humanity and helping the planet heal, you are not interested in making your impact in the world and creating abundance. So here's the real reason why being visible is important for all Lightworkers right now. So first of all, there's a lot of distraction on social media right now, much of which is intentionally fear-based. So if you've been catching my lives, you know that I talk into this all the time. A lot of what we're seeing play out on the world stage is actually all a programming, right? And I'm not talking like this astral projection holographic field. I mean, it is all of that. But what I'm talking about is there is an actual programming that has been implemented and deployed to really put people in fear and to keep poking that fear, right? And so if you have a lot of fear, then you're going to get poked a lot. No pun intended, right? So the truth is that when you are connected with your fear, you are not going to be connected, or should I say distracted. You're going to be distracted from your purpose, your light, what you're here to create in the world. And that's the whole reason of it, right? That's the whole reason of this programming, because Lightworkers and starseeds are especially being targeted with this right now, because it is because the reality is Lightworkers, we're very powerful. We're very powerful, but so many of us play small. So many of us play small, and and it doesn't behoove us to play small, but a lot of us play small because we're afraid of our power. We're afraid of making money. We're afraid of, being seen and heard. We're afraid of all these things, right? But when you transcend those fears, then you're no longer able to be manipulated by this programming that is fear-based, right? You'll actually be able to make your own decisions from your own intuition and trusting it implicitly. So I'm just putting that out there because that's a huge reason. So in other words, you get to show up and be visible and share your light with the world to kind of insert, how would I say, like insert an interruption into this field of fear that is being intentionally cultivated, right? So that is also a huge reason why you are being called forward to be visible as a Lightworker now. It's not just for the sake of going out there and doing dancing reels, right? Like you can definitely do that. I dance sometimes in my reels because I like to dance. I grew up as a dancer. But the reality is that what it's really about is you get to do your job as a Lightworker, right? Like you get to shine your light, you get to be big in your energy because your energy is big. And if you don't believe that, then you have been playing small, right? And you have room to expand and allow yourself to be big, right? So that's number one. That's a big one. Number two, many Lightworkers are getting distracted from their mission, letting fear take them off track from being visible in their power and their abundance, as I was mentioning earlier. And then people need your light now more than ever, but they will not know about you if they can't find you. And that's like one of the hugest complaints I hear from Lightworkers is, I want to help people, but how do they find me, right? And so Autumn is saying that would be me, right? And that's fine because we're all here to expand. So just letting you know that it's okay to be wherever you're at right now. Okay. So this is not, to shame you if you're not where you want to be. Like we all start somewhere. I started from zero. Everyone starts from zero. Okay. And so I'm here to really just share with you so that you can just rise up and learn those tools. So yeah, Lightworkers, they're like, I'm so prolific. I've got all these amazing energy healing modalities. And then it's like crickets because no one can find them, right? No one can find them and no one knows they exist. And so if no one knows that you're even around and no one knows that you exist, how do you expect your people to find you? And how do you expect yourself to find your people, right? And so that's why visibility is important for service. So important. And the last point, bottom line, the world needs healing and it's time to awaken humanity. Hello, Lightworker, especially those star seeds. And if you're new to the term star seeds, I know some of you already know your star seeds. Some of you resonate with that term and feel there's something there. Star seeds are those who have roots in different star systems, who have purposely incarnated on this planet at this very moment on the planetary awakening to raise the consciousness of humanity. So literally, it's the reason why you were born. No pressure, right? But, don't worry about it too much. It's like, it's all about embodying who you are, and it's all a journey, right? And so I'm going to be giving you some tools and some guidance on this, so you're not going to be just flailing around and just not knowing how to even begin, because you get to begin. All right, so talking about the tools for what works when it comes to being visible as a light worker, embrace all of who you are, including your gifts and abilities. And notice how that's number one, because if you want to be visible, but you are not embracing all of who you are, including your gifts and your abilities, that creates a lot of problems. And let me tell you why. Because if you don't accept yourself completely for all of who you are, all of your gifts, all of your abilities, all of the things that you feel make you weird, which doesn't make you weird, it just makes you unique, right? That's something I grew up with, because it's just, I was always the one who was different. I was always the one who stuck out. I was always the one who, it was almost like I went around with a spotlight shining on me, and I hated it. And, but there's a reason why that was the case. It's because I'm meant to, do something with that, right? So it was only when I embraced all of who I was, including everything that made me weird, because I'm not weird and you're not weird, you're just unique, and you get to be unique and seen and heard and making an impact. And your uniqueness is going to be what brings people to you. Your ideal clients, that they're going to be like moths to a flame when you show up in all of your uniquely, or all of who you are as a unique being. Okay. And also understand that it is going to be harder to deal with the trolls and the haters and all the people who are like, you're full of it, who do you think you are, and all the things that you're afraid of. Yes, we're going to go into that topic today. If you don't embrace who you are, because the whole reason why this whole fear of like, I'm afraid what people are going to say about me, or they're going to judge me, they're going to criticize me, whatever, right? That's because you don't fully embrace yourself. That's because you don't fully accept yourself completely. If you're still having that fear that prevents you, right? Because it's normal to have the fear, but if it prevents you from actually showing up, then there's something there to explore. Get clear on who you serve. And this is really important to know, because a lot of light workers are just like, I want to help everyone who comes into my door, I will help them all, right? Because it's like, we want to help everyone. We want everyone to heal. We want, and especially if you're an empath, you can feel the pain of the world. But the truth is if you're an empath, it's not your job to take on other people's pain. And we're going to talk about that in a little bit too. But for this point here, get clear on who you serve. When you serve everyone, you serve no one. And that's like a blunt truth I learned the hard way. So don't be afraid to exclude people, because you have unique codes that you're meant to share. And if you don't share them, then people will not know what you stand for. And you stand for something very specific. Okay. And you get to call in your specific clients, right? Because it's not like everyone under the sun, it is, and I'm going to give you an example. So it could be, I help new moms embrace their changing bodies or something like that, right? So that they can be empowered in as a mother or something like that. That would be an example of kind of like a shortened version of who you serve and how. Right. And so you get to be clear, and notice that that was just a one sentence thing that I just made up. Right. That's how clear I am. about what clarity looks like, because I have my own thing too about what I stand for, which I've shared, which is where, I help those new earth leaders activate light and empowerment in the planet through power activation and mentorship work, right? So notice how clear all this is. If you are ambiguous, if you are confusing to your ideal client, they will not know what the heck you stand for, and they'll just be like, okay, I don't even know what that was about, right? They're just going to swipe away if you're like posting about 10 million random things. So you get to be focused and clear on who you serve. And then also get clear on the transformation you provide and create offers that solve that problem. And as you know, when you're an entrepreneur is someone who solves other people's problems, right? Like one problem that I solve is I help people be empowered. For those people who, Lightworkers specifically, right? Lightworkers who are interested in being new earth leaders, which is kind of a next level, right? That's my interest, is really helping provide that transformation, helping them become empowered, helping them become activated in their divine power codes on the DNA level, right? That's something I can do. So that's the biggest way that I solve people's problems. That said, I'm also a licensed acupuncturist, a Reiki master teacher, a medicine woman, otherwise known as a shamanic practitioner, and all these other things too that I get to apply to assist in solving that problem for my people, right? So that is really, really important to be clear on what your transformation is, because if you don't know, no one else will either. And if they don't know what you stand for, they're going to be confused, and a confused mind never buys. So that's the reality of things. You want to make impact, you got to be kind of having an understanding of what really would serve your people. And to that end, get clear on your messaging. Take a stand. Let yourself be polarizing. Don't be afraid to offend people. That's one of the biggest things that I see a lot of light workers say, is they stick only to the love and light, which is fine because we are love and light, right? But we're also more than that. We are human embodied beings. We are light beings in a human embodied form. And as such, this is something that, if you intend to implement all this cosmic high vibe stuff onto the earthly realm, like that gets to be implemented. And so part of that vehicle for you is to be visible, right? Which means be clear on your messaging so that people are not like, what is she talking about? What does she mean? Right? Like that was super vague. What is she talking about? And also let yourself be polarizing, because if you are truly a leader, you are going to ruffle some feathers and you are going to say some things that other people will not agree with. Sometimes, not all the time, but don't be afraid to rock the boat. And in fact, every single time I've posted something on social media that I was like, oh God, I'm just going to brace myself for all the hater comments, right? It always ended up being not that, like every single time I expected tons of haters on something, I actually got a lot of, yes, thank you for saying that. Oh my God, I'm so glad someone finally said that, right? And so, but you never know unless you make that post. It's like maybe you're going to actually say something that other people have been wanting to say, but they don't feel brave enough to say it, but you are. Take ownership of your mission, your power, and your money. And so this is a really charged statement right here, because, I was talking about embracing all of who you are, but you also get to take ownership of your mission on this planet, of your purpose. And for those of you who say, I don't know what my purpose is, you do. You're just not allowing yourself to see it right now, or you're too scared to execute it, right? And then in regards to your power, this is part of the programming. The programming that we are being bombarded with, I'll say, like energetically, sonically, frequency wise, and in all types of ways, we are being bombarded with those types of frequencies so that we are afraid and maybe even repulsed by our power. Like, oh, gross, that's so disgusting. Look, she's so like, what do people say about that? Manipulative. It's so manipulative. It hurts people when you're powerful. And, and that's not true. If you were irresponsible with it in a past lifetime, that's something else, and you get to transmute that. But that's not the case if that's not what you decide in this lifetime. Same thing goes with money. Money is not evil. A lot of spiritual people have a lot of hangups about money, light workers included. And when you're an entrepreneur, that can be a problem, because if you are repulsed by making money, if you are repulsed by money, if you think money is evil, and if you think it's unspiritual to even think about it, talk about it, have it, work with it, then, that's going to be a problem for you, right? So I'm going to speak into this a little bit more later. Clear your blocks around money. And so, if you've got any outdated perceptions and old paradigm beliefs about money, saying that, money's evil, money's unspiritual, only the capitalist patriarchy is about money. And I love that term, right? Because back when I was a punk rocker, I'm here in New York City, and I was a punk rocker here back in the day. And that was one of my things. I'm like, stick it to the man, blast the capitalist patriarchy. And that was like, I don't know, 20 years ago. and what's really cute about it is that some people are still like, that's how old it is, right? That's how old that perception is that people still think the patriarchy is in charge, this capitalist patriarchy, right? They still think it's alive. It's dying. What do you think is crumbling around us right now, right? Is that all of this is crumbling away for this higher frequency system to implement and settle in and anchor in on the earth. And you are agents of change to make that happen. So you get to clear your blocks around money. You get to have a shift around that, right? Because money is simply a tool. And I'm not going to get too deep into money blocks, because that's a whole masterclass in itself, which I actually did in May. Actually, it was about creating your wealth as a light worker. But what I will say here in this masterclass is that money is energy. Like, yes, it's also a paper form, or it's like a coin form and other things as well, right? But it's an energy. Abundance is an energy. And it's not something that other people have control over and you're just like flailing in the sea somewhere, right? Like when you are embodied in your power, you are connected to your abundance. You are connected to you as an abundant being. You also understand that you are an aspect of God, and abundance comes from God. And so therefore abundance comes from you. Like, you literally are a generator of abundance. And I'm talking about all the abundance. Yes, the love, the joy, the health, all of that, and the financial wealth, right? And money is a tool. Money isn't bad. It is just a tool. It is actually neutral. So let's say you want to build a house and you take out a hammer. A hammer is being used in that moment to build. It's to build a house in that moment. You can also use that hammer to take down things, right? To destroy things, to smash things, and to be destructive. But is the hammer bad? No, it's just a tool, right? So really, money makes you only more of what you already are. So if you're inherently this amazing person who loves, right? Then you're going to be an amazing person who loves with money. And guess what light workers can do with that, right? If you're truly a light worker working with the light for the benefit of mankind and for the world, guess what you're going to do with that money? You're going to use it to elevate your clients' experiences, because that's what I do. You can use it to improve yourself, invest in yourself. You can use it to create experiences to help people transform, such as when I've led global activations around the world, and that will continue. But, we would go to Mount Shasta and Machu Picchu and all this stuff, right? And so that's what you can do. And you can also be a philanthropist if you want. But the point being is that money is not evil. It's neutral. Work it, okay? And selling is service. Can you imagine if I had this amazing thing that would change your life, right? That would transform you, blow your mind. And I decided that, oh no, I'm not going to offer it to that person because I'm afraid they're going to say something about how I'm offering it, whether it be, charging money for it, or it's being presented a certain way. Can you imagine? Like that is just, that's not service. When you're leading with your fears, that's not service. That's, I guess, called selfishness, right? But the point being is selling a service. And so it is being in service when you are selling your work, when you are selling your services, when you're selling your products, right? You are saying, here is this thing that's going to change your life. And here's the investment for that. And I mean, if people have a reaction to that, then that's on them, you know, right? But the truth is that that's your job, to help people transform. So just keep that in mind. And then also heal your current and past life traumas that keep you from speaking your truth. Do the inner work. So when I talk about doing the inner work, I'm saying sit with those hard things, work them out, see what the wisdom is that they're trying to share with you, right? Excuse me. And, you know, if you've got like childhood traumas that are, you know, kind of bugging you, preventing you from stepping forward, or anything from past lives that is, you know, something you promised yourself from a past life, and then, you know, it's showing up in this lifetime. One common thing that can show up for powerful light workers is, if you've been powerful in this lifetime, you've also been powerful in previous lifetimes. And if you have, then you may have experienced persecution or violence as a result of it. And it's really important for you to transmute all that and heal all that. And I'm not going to go into all the steps as to how to do that right now, but what I will say is do the work around it. Do the inner work around it, do the clearings, do the energy work, go to therapy, do all the things that are required for you so that you can shine and so you can be healed and happy, right? I heard someone say recently that you're always healing and no one ever stops healing. But the truth is, you know, I guess technically that's correct, but usually people who say that are still in a deep level of healing, right? And they still have a ways to go. But, you know, once you really do the deep work with all the big pieces in your life, then it's just refinery from there, you know? Also, create and strengthen your empath boundaries and let go of taking responsibility for others' projections of unhealed trauma onto you. This is huge. Empaths, I am calling you out with a megaphone right now, because all the empaths be like, you know, I want to help people, but I don't want to get judged. I'm going to feel their disappointment. I'm going to feel their rage, and I'm going to feel their anger, and they're going to say mean things and all this stuff, right? Create and cultivate your healthy energy boundaries and understand that it's not your job to take on other people's shit. Okay, I'm just going to call it out for what it is, right? Because your job as an empath is not to take on other people's shit. Just because you can pick up on it does not mean you're responsible for it. So let that notion go immediately and right now, because that does not serve you and it's also not true. So maybe that's like an aha for you right there, right? But you're not responsible for other people's anger, for the reactions to your energy, for the reactions to your power, for their reactions to your offerings and what you charge for them, right? You're not responsible for any of that, because if they're having some kind of reaction around it, that is indicating that they are dealing with something that is unhealed. That is not on you. Yeah. Venice is saying this empath feels that hairdresser an empath. I know a lot of hairdressers who are empaths. That's very interesting. Okay. So, you know, you're not responsible. And I'm going to give you kind of a dramatic story. So hopefully this is going to imprint how important this is. Okay. So one of my patients had come in, this was years ago now, and she came in because she was just so tired. She was like fatigued, exhausted, but she was a high performing person. Like she's that person who was so high performing, she could get shit done. And I think she was working in some corporation, some company, and she got shit done, but she was just exhausted, and you could see it in her face. I could feel it in her energy field, and I picked that up immediately. And then as we really talked and got deeper, I found out that, you know, she realized, she knows that she's an empath. And, you know, we live here in New York City and we're always passing by people, right? And so, and she lives obviously in New York City too. And she was saying that as she would just walk down the street, she would make her energy open to anyone who needed it. I cannot tell you how dangerous that is to do that. If you are not creating and strengthening your healthy empath boundaries, do that. Okay. So basically, when you open yourself up and you're like, everyone, jump on board, everyone. I'm just this open funnel of energy, right? Because her reasoning was, let me take away their pain. Let me take away their pain so that they don't feel pain anymore. And guess what happens when you just say, oh, I'll just take care of that for you, right? First of all, you don't take care of it. They might have like a momentary blip of relief, right? Because you help them out. But if they are in a journey where they haven't learned certain lessons, they're going to keep repeating these patterns, and they're just going to go back to, you know, what created these issues in the first place, right? And when you try to take ownership of other people's sovereignty and their journeys, you are actually robbing them of their own sovereignty. And that's not your job as a light worker or as an empath, right? So back to my patient's story is that, not surprisingly, she had a lot of attachments. She was like super possessed. And it was just, it was not good for her. I'll just say that, right? And so after tons of work and tons of discussion and communications and offering recommendations, she was clear, and she also started creating and strengthening her empath boundaries. And so that's just super important, right? Like, I mean, I only work with those light workers who already have some type of empath boundaries, and they're not opening themselves up for that kind of stuff, because that's super dangerous. And you invite all kinds of shit when you do that. And when you're a light worker, you don't want to do that, because a lot of light workers do this. And this is my little cautionary tale for you right now, right? Because a lot of light workers do this, and then they channel. And then they're like, I'm channeling Yeshua, I'm channeling Isis, and all this other stuff, right? And that is dangerous, because you ain't channeling Isis when you are that clogged up, right? And you have a lot of fears, and you've ingested other people's fears. The channels are not clear, is my point. So you want to make sure, coming back to this point, create and strengthen your empath boundaries and stop taking on other people's projections of unhealed trauma onto you. Stop taking on their disappointments. Stop taking on their pain and their suffering and their anger and their rage. Stop it. Stop it. I say it with sincere love. Okay. So hopefully you are picking up what I'm putting down. All right. And on that note too, with being an empath, make sure you're constantly clearing your energy, keeping yourself clear. With the level of work that I do, I'm clearing myself every day, because, you know, the light and the dark are both working very hard right now. So be willing to serve highly, even when it's scary. Get out of your comfort zone. And you hear me say this all the time, but it's like some of it doesn't sink in for some reason, right? And when I'm talking about getting out of your comfort zone, I will show you evidence of me coming out of my comfort zone in a little bit, but it means doing all the things you're scared of, all the things that freak you out, all the things that you are petrified to do, but you know, you're like, oh, I probably should do this. Or, you know, if I did this, it would help people, right? Be willing to serve highly, even when it's scary. I liken being visible and showing up and speaking your truth and being big in your energy on social media, even if you haven't before, and helping people, to this analogy with, if you were on a beach and you saw someone drowning out in the water there, would you let them drown and say, oh, no, I'm not ready yet. I'm too scared. I need to get, you know, my bathing suit needs to look a certain way. My hair needs to look a certain way, right? Or I need to feel safe and settled and good about myself. Then I'll go over and save your ass, right? No, of course you're not going to say that. You're going to, whatever you're looking like, you know, you are going to jump in that water and you're going to help that person. And so too, you get to help your people when you're a light worker and you see someone drowning in their own self-doubt, drowning in their own self-hate, drowning in their trauma, drowning in their pain and suffering, right? And they're also saying, help me, right? They're reaching out into the air saying, help me, right? Then it's your job to jump in and help them. Like, you know, instead of like, oh, wait a minute, my hair's got to look good, right? And of course your hair gets to look good. But my point is that do it, help people, you know, get your priorities in order, you know? Okay. And when it comes to social media, choose one platform that you enjoy that will give you the visibility to reach your people. So, you know, and that's especially if you're a beginner, like don't try to do all the things, you know, just choose one and choose one platform that you enjoy, period. If you don't enjoy it, don't do it. And that's why I'm on Instagram a lot, because I'm also on Facebook, I'm also on Twitter and LinkedIn kind of, and YouTube also. And all of those are active, but I'm definitely more enjoying Instagram. So that's where you will see me the most, at Alcantara Acupuncture. That's my handle, and that's my only account, just FYI. And to that end, with that story around the person drowning in the water, right? Show up messy and imperfect. And before you're ready, just start. Because a lot of light workers are like, I'll do it when I'm ready. I'll do it when I lose 5 pounds. I'll do it when my children go to school. I'll do it when I feel better about myself. You know, here's the thing. You will be ready when you decide that you're ready. It's a decision. And so you get to just start. And then be consistent with how you show up. And invest in a coach or a mentor who's already accomplished what you're setting out to do to help you achieve your goals. So here's what doesn't work when it comes to being visible as a light worker: not accepting who you are or your gifts. Also, by the way, that shows. If you just show up and say, oh no, I'm not going to really accept who I am, but I'm going to be visible anyway, right? If you do that, you can do that, but it's going to convey, right? If you don't completely love and accept yourself, it's going to show. And so that's why, you know, I hear this all the time, because I'm like kind of in mastery mode now, because I'm no longer in the nitty-gritty of things anymore. And people can pick up your vibration. And I hear a lot of times people saying to me, you know, I can feel your energy. It's super powerful, or I feel your love, or I feel your compassion, or I feel this, or I feel that, you know, or I can feel the energy that you're exuding right now. You know, like, I mean, I hear that a lot, but that's because I'm in cultivation of who I am. And you get to be in that level too for you and what that looks like for you. So not accepting who you are and your gifts, that's a big no. Choosing to be overwhelmed and staying in confusion about who you serve, or trying to serve everyone. And I say choosing to be overwhelmed because being an overwhelm is a choice. You can choose to be overwhelmed, or you can choose to be curious. All right. Hiding and letting your fears and others' judgments keep you from being visible as a light worker. So if you're hiding, no one's going to find you. And maybe that's your intention, but I hope it's not. Because if that's your intention, then that means that you're not really desiring to help others and help people out, right? But if you are willing to do that, to get out of your comfort zone, stop hiding, you will help people. Also, what doesn't work is being in victimhood in your life. So when I talk about being in victimhood, that's when you're blaming other people for what's going on in your life. You're blaming this person, you're blaming that, you're blaming this agency or corporation or whatever, right? You're blaming everything, but you're not looking within. That's victimhood, right? You get to take ownership of who you are. And so that's really, really important. Believing that other people have power over your money. This was big, and this actually came in as an observation from someone who follows me on Instagram. And I put out a question over the weekend, I think it was, about what is the belief that is holding you back from being visible as a light worker? And one person said believing that other people have power over how I create money. And other people seconded that. Other people feel that they felt the same, right? So no one, that's like a piece of victimhood right there, right? Like, other people have power over my money. I blame other people that I'm not in my abundance, right? You are a powerful creator. And as a powerful creator, you create everything around you, right? And we're not going to go into the dynamics of that, but what I will say is that you have power over how you create your own money, right? And if you don't believe that that's the case, then you are outsourcing your power. Being attached to your trauma and your money blocks. A lot of light workers love to be like, oh, I'm in trauma. I am traumatized. I am this, I'm that. It's like, those are the worst things you can say, right? To identify as that being you, right? So that is very important to really realize is, if you're still attached to your trauma, you're not going to transform it. If you're too attached to being blocked in your money, you won't transform it. Taking on other people's reactions to you. And perfectionism. So this whole thing around, I'll do it when I have like a gigantic flow chart that like illustrates how I'm going to show up in the world, right? Or when I get all the equipment and all the tech and everything is perfect. Or, like when my skin clears up, or when my hair looks better, or when I've lost 5 pounds, then I will show up, because then I will be worthy, right? So very important. So just as a reminder, I'm seeing in the comment box, just as a reminder, you will get a 48-hour replay since you've registered for the masterclass. So you will have access to that. And that said, I invite you to be here for the live event of this, to really be in the frequency of it, to really connect with the energy of what it is that you want to get out of this training today. So now I'm going to share a little bit about my own evolution in my visibility journey, so you can learn from my mistakes and my wins. So my visibility journey, I awakened in my starseed awareness in 2016 as a Syrian starseed. I think I was actually on Instagram before that. I was already, I already had been writing a blog post and being consistent with that. I was already, a healer in private practice here in New York City. And I was already like having my first 6 figures and making impact on that level. And so I had already done a lot of things that I felt at that time I was already, I got my goals, I'm feeling accomplished, right? And then I wake up as a Syrian starseed. And then everything changes. So I remembered, with the help of my twin flame, because we actually activated each other just by being around each other. And he's literally just in the other room right now, probably holding space for us. But we remembered previous lifetimes together. And in our previous lifetimes, we usually were not human. And so that was really kind of like, it blew me away. I remembered previous lifetimes where I was a Syrian priestess named Lady Light Star Bringer, not bringing, that's an autocorrect, who would act as a conduit between the star nations and Mother Gaia. And I'd call them down when she needed help. And I was being called forward again to reprise and repeat my role. And so this is what happens, when people wake up in a different way, or again, or in a higher way, it's because it's time. And as excited as I was to remember, I was also scared to share this with the general public for fear of ridicule, judgment, being called crazy, that was a big one, or full of myself. And, because who goes around saying, yes, I'm a conduit between the star nations and Mother Gaia, right? And I literally would draw down the my star alliances to assist Gaia, and this was even from like when all the continents were one. So I've been here for a long time, and not only am I Syrian, but I'm also Blue Avian, and so is my partner. And the Blue Avians always find each other, aside from the fact that we're twin flames. But with that too, it was just like this level of remembering that was just really powerful. And so the following year, my coach not only encouraged me to go live, but to come out of the starseed closet with my mission and abilities. Yes, so not only just like do a live, like, hey everyone, my name's Margarita, and I'm going to show you how to work with crystals, right? Like it wasn't something that a typical light worker would do. It was all, I'm coming out as a Syrian starseed and I'm here to help humanity. And I'm a conduit between the star nations and Mother Gaia. I'm an embodiment of Gaia. I talk to her every day, which I do. And and all of my gifts and abilities, because then I was also starting to perform activations. I was never trained in it. It just started coming out where I was literally just speaking and then it became true, right? Like, so literally I would do this work with a client with the intention to, whatever intention they had, right? And, and then what would happen is that their lives would change, certain things would shift, and that's just simply from speaking, and so that was also scary for me, right? Like, oh my God, like I have to be really careful about what I'm saying, because everything I'm saying, like it changes people's bodies actually, right? Like it upgrades them on a cellular level and on a DNA level, and it will clear things out instantly and provide sometimes instant healing depending on what's coming forward. So that to me felt like a lot of responsibility that I didn't feel like touching with a 10-foot pole. And so here it is, my first, my live where I came out as a starseed. This was 5 years ago, February 9th, 2017. And some background on this. I knew that I needed to be visible. I knew that I needed to tell my story. I knew that I needed to provide my work at this higher level, not just only the acupuncture and the Reiki that I had been doing. And by this time I was already also getting initiated as a medicine woman. And, and I knew my coach was right. And I did resist at first, but because I knew that my mission was super important, I was like, get over yourself, sister. Let's just get this on, right? Like, so let's do this. So mind you, by this time, I was already successful in my mind with what I was doing with my healing practice, with my private practice. I already had, by this moment, hit my first 6 figures and had met that with each year. And so in my mind, I was like, okay, I'm good. Excuse me. But then this was a whole new level, and also mind you, I grew up as a commentator in church, literally reading the readings of scripture in front of tons of people when I was growing up. And I also, in my younger years, was also a performance artist, a spoken word, artist. I don't know if I'd call myself a poet, but, and I was also trained in opera classically, back in the day when I was an undergrad, which is like a lifetime ago, it feels like. And so, yeah, and you can even just feel like the difference in my energy, right? Like, I mean, my energy now is like way different than what it was now. And at first, when I was preparing this, you saw me preparing this for you in my IG stories yesterday. I was like, oh God, it was like so cringy to like watch this. But then, at the same time, I have a lot of compassion for myself, like it takes a lot of courage to show up and talk about the truth of who you are. Anyone can show up and talk about crystals. Anyone can show up and talk about essential oils. But even then, just showing up and talking about crystals or essential oils is, that takes courage to even do that first video, right? And then when you're actually being vulnerable and sharing about your story and what has shifted you and what you're embodying, what your mission is, that's huge, right? So I had Rebecca screenshot the first minute of this because I don't want to, it'll be enough to illustrate everything and, to illustrate the change, right? And I have so much compassion for this version of myself because she just did it. She just fucking did it. She was petrified. All right. And honestly, at this point, I don't care how it looks. I don't care if it looks cringy anymore. I don't care if it looks like I didn't have my shit together, because I didn't, not really. But I had it enough to put myself out there. And that's what matters. because the people who will troll and hate on you for what you used to be and what you used to look like, those are usually the people who don't even like have the balls or the ovaries to show up and do it themselves, right? But you do. This is me showing up messy and imperfect and getting it done, okay? So let me turn on the sound so you can hear this. And so I want you to notice some of the things that I said you do get to do and some of the things that you shouldn't do, okay? And so I'll share a little bit in a moment here. Hey everybody, it's Margarita Alcantara of Alcantara Acupuncture. I'm just setting up for my live video. And so thank you for joining. Right now it's around 9:02, and I know that I just announced that I was going to do my Facebook Live today. I think I just announced it like 2 hours ago, but I wanted to share a special message with you guys because I know that, well, first of all, it's been a very interesting time. We've been having a lot of interesting energies right now. And so we're having an interesting time, a lot of interesting energy, a lot of shifting going on. And I am no exception. I have been having a lot of experiences. Okay, that's enough. That was enough to illustrate. Look at the change, right? Like, at least I was looking in the camera most of the time, right? Because I'm going to give you an example of what not looking in the camera is like. Okay, so this is me not looking at the lens and looking at myself and looking at me speaking, right? And so how disconnected did you feel from me, you know, just then, right? But if I'm looking at the lens, then you connect, right? And one of the mistakes there, well, first of all, I got it done, right? So I'm giving my past self kudos on that. And but one of the things you don't want to do is something that I did do in this live, which is, hey everyone, right? Like if you're doing a live or you're doing a video, like in a masterclass, it's different because you are expecting like people to show up, right? And then you're talking to them. But the videos, the reels, anything like that, you want to always look in the camera and you want to get to the freaking point, right? Like, because like if I had seen this version of myself now, I would have been like, oh my God, get to the point, right? You know, and that's just because I was practicing. That's because, and how do you think that I was able to transform that? It's from doing this since 2017. Like I literally started a weekly show after this date called the Mother Gaia Power Portal, in which I did activations. Mind you, I'd never done activations before. I was never trained in them or anything. It was just like starting to happen where, you know, it was just working. It was just happening, you know, and my clients' lives were just changing just from getting an activation, right? And so it was a whole new level of being and showing up. So what I'm saying here with this clip, you know, rather than fumbling with my iPad, I would have like made sure my iPad was all settled. And, you know, I would have spoken to one person because that's really what you get to do. You speak to one person and you let them know immediately what they're going to get, right? So it's not like, you know, waiting for people to show up live, because most of the time, especially when you're just starting out, it'll be like 0 people or your mom, you know, and that's fine. Just do it, right? And so this is me getting it done. And after that, I went on to doing a weekly show where I performed activations on a weekly basis. I think it was every Tuesday or Friday. I forgot what day it was. And then I no longer did activations every week. I started creating more offers around that. I started, you know, providing more teachings and trainings instead. And so now it has turned into a weekly show called the Rise Up with Margarita show. So that's just kind of the incarnation there. Yeah. And so you'll see the vulnerability because I didn't know what the hell I was like. I did know what I was talking about, but I also didn't know what I was talking about. And I was just like, okay, here it goes. It was like ripping off the Band-Aid. And I just started talking about being a Syrian starseed. And I started talking about working with Gaia and, you know, how I've been here for eons. And as I was saying, as a blue avian, you know, blue avians are at least 4 billion years old. So I've been around, right? So, and I'm seeing JJ say, I can see the confidence and vulnerability. Yes, right. Haley's saying that's exactly my problem right now. I have 1 or 2 people drop by. It's awkward and difficult, but I want to try. It's okay to have 1 or 2 people drop by. It's okay if 0 people drop by. That is what happens in the beginning. But if you just keep going and you keep showing up with your consistency, then people will start expecting you on that date and time, and they'll be like, oh, okay, so Margarita's going to do her Monday show at 2 p.m. on, you know, next week on Monday, right? Like people know that already about me. So it's like you get to help people expect what to expect of you. And that's what consistency gives, excuse me. And then soon after this live, my book finally got published. I did this book called Chakra Healing. I wrote it in 5 weeks. Because that's, again, when you are focused as a light worker and you have a goal. You know, they said to me, Margarita, can you write this book in 5 weeks? And I'm like, oh my God, my first book as a first-time author, and you want me to write it in 5 weeks? Okay. And that's what I said. All right, let's do it. Let's write this book in 5 weeks. So what did I do? I created an Excel spreadsheet with every single slot of time to be allotted for 5 weeks. And mind you, I included cuddle time with my honey. I included eating something really well. I included my movement and exercise. I included whatever would nourish me, right? Because it's not just work yourself to the bone. This is how you get shit done and do it sustainably. So yeah, and I get this a lot. Oh, that's your book? I didn't know that was your book. Yeah, it's my book. So I published it on I didn't publish it. Callisto Publishing published it on Valentine's Day. And it's not 2027. I guess I'm in the future already, right? But it was 2017. And so Valentine's Day 2017, I published the book Chakra Healing, and it's been a #1 best-selling book for like ever since, to be honest. And I'm not bragging, I'm just talking about facts. So it is like 33K positive reviews on Amazon. And I mean, there are some people there who called me a witch and that I should, you know, I need to find Jesus and stuff. It's like, if you only knew. But my point being is this is what happens when you show up. And also this helped with my visibility, right? So my book is #1 on Amazon. It's in bookstores globally. You know, I get photos from my friends, you know, of when it was in Barnes and Noble, and it's been in Barnes and Noble. It's been made into an audiobook. It's been translated into Polish, Portuguese, Spanish, French, Romanian. Next year, because I've been fielding all these inquiries from these publishing companies around the world, Marathi, Hindi, Turkish, and Indonesian. So that's coming up. That is coming up. I love Leilani's observation. Let me just pull it down because you guys are coming in like wildfire. Jesus loves chakra healing. Yes. What do you think he was using? Yeah. What do you think he was using? Okay. So anyway, so that is also helping with my visibility. And I'm not going to say that you need to write a book. If you're inspired to, you should. If you're not, you don't need to, right? There are so many ways to be visible. So my visibility journey in social media, I dabbled on Facebook when it first came out. I made my first post on Instagram 9 years ago on 3/30/13. So this was like, I don't know. So I think I just started my practice like maybe a few years previous to that. And I'm going to show you my first post. Again, another cringy moment, but you know, it is what it is because I'm definitely not there anymore. And everyone, Venice is also saying Jesus was a Reiki master. You know it, right? Ascended Masters got that all down. Exactly. It's not about a religion. It's, you know, it's the spirituality of all of this. And a lot of people are waking up to that. I became a relatively new adopter of Instagram Reels last year. So it actually rolled out 2 years ago. And I didn't get on that, but I was still considered a relatively new adopter on Instagram Reels by hopping on it. I think I started in March of last year. That's when I kind of started. And because I was a new adopter of Instagram, anytime these social media platforms roll out something new, you should use it. You should use it because when you use these new features, Instagram will push you out to the forefront. And so I'm like, okay, let's do this. I'm going to do some IG Reels. Instagram is putting it out into the forefront. I'm going to put myself out there. And so I started doing Reels and I started seeing results. I got 6,200 new followers in 2 months because of Reels. My first Reel that went viral for me in March of last year had 67.7K views, 3.2K likes, and 436 saves. And so I'm not sharing this with you because of vanity metrics. I'm sharing this with you because you should be tracking your results and you should be tracking your growth. And you can't know how you're growing if you aren't tracking your numbers. Since then, I've had a few Reels go viral. And this, by the way, the tracking thing, that goes the same way with your money. You can't tell how much you're growing until you're tracking things. And the most performance I've had on a Reel so far has a reach of 819K, 27.6K likes, 5.3K shares, and 2.2K saves. And so I'm getting results from it, which means it's reaching more people, because that's what Reels do. It helps you get seen by people who don't know you yet. And maybe you found me from, one of my Reels. So, and that's what I'm talking about, is that when people, share your stuff and they save your stuff, then it pushes it out to the algorithm. And it's not about pleasing the algorithm, but when you're a business owner, you work with the social media differently. This is my first IG post, my spice rack. My spice rack. So, because I'm an acupuncturist, and at that time I was just only focusing on my acupuncture and maybe my Reiki. And so I was talking about healing and healing foods. Zach is saying, come on, spices. Come on, spices. So here we are with my lovely spice rack. And I talked about how I just installed a new spice rack. So there you go. That is my first post. And now these are my Instagram posts. This is a Reel. And so here, I'm going to play it for you. I don't know who needs to hear this right now, but if you are afraid of your power, if you're petrified of your power, mostly because you have either a faint or very distinct remembrance of being irresponsible with your power or misusing your power in a past lifetime, number one, clear that shit. Number two, make sure you make a decision now in this lifetime that you are going to be responsible with your power now, because I guarantee that the reason why it's calling you now, calling you forward to take ownership of your power now, is not because you're going to misuse it. It's because you're going to be responsible with it this time and make a difference in the world. So repeat after me. It is safe for me to be in my power now. It is safe for me to be in my power now. It is safe for me to be in my power now. Follow me for more Lightworker tips. Okay, so I'm going to kind of break down with you in a moment why this Reel worked. I think it had like 1,500 likes or something, and a lot of people had a lot of comments about it. And one thing you really want to do is make sure that you are knowing your people. And I'm loving here in the comments, people are taking a stand from my first post. Spice up your life. We take spices seriously. And, it's just, I love that you're taking a stand for my spices. So I'm going to share with you a little bit of why this worked and what works and what doesn't kind of thing. But one of the things you do want to do if you're going to be on social media is you want to know your people. You're going to want to know what they're dealing with, what they're struggling with. And exactly, Linda, she's saying, you make me emotional, right? People, like, this is a whole experience you're giving people, right? Because you get to provide value, and value shows up through education. Maybe you're sharing, here's how you do such and such. Maybe you're giving tips, right? Or maybe you're inspiring them to do something they've never done before. Or maybe you're giving them a slap upside the head in a loving way, right? With some knowledge that maybe they didn't know before. And the point being is that I knew with that reel, as an example, I knew that so many of the people who follow me are scared and petrified to be in their power because of past life stuff, right? And even though I'm not going to focus on the past life stuff, and although I will help my clients who might need some tweaks around that for sure, I do some shamanic traveling. We travel through the portals and we do all kinds of healing work. But the point being is that I know that my people are dealing with this, and they're struggling with it. It hurts. It causes them a lot of pain. They don't know what to do about it, right? So this was kind of a mixture of inspiring, a mixture of, a tip, like kind of, I had this mantra thing, and it was emotional, right? If you resonate with this, it's emotional. And then of course I have this violin in the background. I didn't know the violin was going to do that right at that moment, but it's also helpful to have music in the background, especially if it's trending, because then it will, it'll kind of push it to the forefront a little more. That always helps. So I'm dissecting for you why this worked. And you need to know your people. You need to know what they're moving through. You need to know what they're struggling with. You need to know what would help them and how they need to hear you, because the reality is that you know what they need, but you need to give them what they want. And that's like a whole ass thing right there. So I don't know who needs to hear this right now. So some basic social media tips to create videos. Don't overthink the tech. You just need a phone and light source. You don't need, like, everyone and their moms, like, ring lights and studio lights and tripods and all that stuff. I mean, that first video you saw that I did where I was coming out as a starseed, that was balanced on my Kleenex box, okay? That was balanced on my Kleenex box. So that's why I was like looking down, because I was like, I was trying to lift it up, but since then I've invested in many types of gadgets and things to make my life easier. And so now I have like a professional tripod that I use, because as you can tell, I speak with my hands a lot. And so that is the worst thing if you like to speak with your hands and you're holding the phone in your hand, because then you feel like you're not expressing yourself. So, and all you need is some natural light, like go to the window when it's like daytime and use your phone. That's all you need, right? And then share your message. The reason why I actually use a light now, I use a ring light. It's actually behind my computer right now and behind my camera that is on my computer, is because we don't get a lot of natural sunlight in my apartment. So in order to fix that, so that people can see me, I have my ring light. So that's why I've got that. But that came much later. Step 2, look at the lens, not at yourself at the camera, in the camera. So again, like, this is me. If I were to look at myself, talking and speaking, and I'm seeing myself, versus me looking into the lens, speaking to one person, right? People get so scared about speaking into a lens. They're like, oh my God, who am I going to talk to? It's just a camera and it's a machine and I don't feel connected. It's like, imagine you're talking to the one person who needs your help right now, and then talk, right? It's a perception shift. Cut out the filler words in the beginning. So all the whole, okay, everyone, I'm going to wait until people step in. I'm going to wait till people, come into the chat box, and, like, make sure, like all this stuff, right? Where or like filler words like, like, all this stuff. So That's very important. And as you know, I can still do it once in a while. However, I'm a lot more to the point, and that's very important. Step 4, make sure your captions have a beginning, middle, and end. And so my video and my caption that you just saw had both what's called that sandwich of the beginning, which is like the hook, the middle, which is the juicy story, and then the end, which is your call to action, right? And so you'll notice all of my reels have that. All of my captions have that. Because if you just leave them hanging with no call to action, they're like, okay, now what? Okay, you just gave me a truth bomb. What do I do with that? Right? And if you are a business owner, maybe if you're an influencer, you don't care about any of this shit, and that's fine. But if you're a business owner and you're an entrepreneur, then you are, thinking about the end game, right? You are actually guiding people to take the next step, because you're actually showing that, yes, you are this guide, right? So here's what I didn't know back then that I wish I knew, and what I know now. Get clear on who you serve. I spoke on that before. Be clear in your messaging. Understand your community and what they're experiencing. Be consistent in how you're showing up and being visible. Understand that showing up as a spiritually conscious business owner is not about winning a popularity contest. It's not about all the likes and all the accolades and the pats on the back that you get for your posts. The reason I do all this stuff is not for the pats on the back. The reason I do it is to serve. And I'll serve more people if I serve more people, right? So it's about service. Say what you really want to say, not what every light worker and their mom is saying, right? And be conscious about your visibility instead of randomly posting. So all those pictures of your dog or your lunch, unless, or your kids, unless it's directly connected to your purpose and your business. And of course, you can actually, that said, make it also about your business, depending how you phrase it. It'll just be, confusing otherwise, and it'll just be random. And your audience will be like, what is this post about? What is she trying to say? Also, approach social media as a business owner, not a consumer. So instead of mindlessly scrolling and consuming, you actually get to create content to create that energy. You get to create the content. You get to create for your audience. One thing I wish I did before is take the leap to be visible sooner. Do all the things sooner. I wish I did all of that sooner. I waited too long. How to deal with haters and trolls. Okay, so this is one of the things that keeps light workers from really showing up, either for the first time or at the level they know they have the capacity to be at, is that they're afraid of the haters and the trolls. So here's what I have to say about haters and trolls. Okay, first of all, have an understanding. And we're going to get into Q&A pretty soon, so get your questions prepared. But this has been really juicy already, so I appreciate how you're really taking this in, and I'm loving how people in the chat box are actually reiterating some of these touch points for others. So thank you for that service to others that you're doing. But you get to assess where that comment is coming from. Because I will tell you, at least the majority, I'll say the majority, if not all of them, any hater comments are coming from people who are not doing the work on all the different levels. Like I've gotten hater comments before, and I'm sure I'll get some more in the future. But whenever I've checked out their accounts, because I always check out people's accounts, it's usually a private account, so they don't even have the balls to show themselves and put themselves on the line like I'm doing at that moment, right? Their account is private. Their avatar is like some symbol, or them in sunglasses, or them far away, or some other thing where they're not even showing their face, right? So they're not even allowing themselves to be seen. They're not allowing themselves to be vulnerable and to be heard, right? And so are you going to take advice from someone who's doing that? Probably not. So would you take hate from someone like that? Probably not. So keep things in perspective. Another thing too, to keep in mind, people who are doing more than you will never judge you for showing up. Why? Because they're too busy doing, being in service. That's why, I don't like, time is a construct, yes. And I spend my time wisely. I don't spend it being like, oh, let's take a look at this person I can try to tear down and say something mean to, right? And be like, oh, you are terrible, or your hair looks like crap. Like, I mean, or you're a terrible person or something like that, right? I don't have time for that shit. That's not my focus. That's not where I want to be. And that's not the vibe I want to be putting out in the world. These are people who are unaware of the fact that their vibration carries, right? But since you know better, you can just be like, okay, like one person that I follow, her name is Shalene Johnson. She's like multi-billionaire, I think, something like that, multi-millionaire perhaps. And, she's very down to earth. And one thing she said, because she had her daughter's wedding like over the weekend, and a lot of people had opinions about her mother of the bride dress, right? And she said, she did this like a queen, right? She's like, your comments are adorable, but irrelevant. And that's really how you get to approach these, right? Like, I mean, it's honestly irrelevant what other people say about you. And that is why embracing all of who you are, all of it, is so important, because if you do, it doesn't really matter if people are hating on you or saying mean things to you. It really won't. Not that you won't still be nervous about posting something, because you probably will, but you're going to lead more from a place of service and be like, well, fine, like, let that be the case. This needs to be said. Also, it's also very easy to judge others anonymously from behind a keyboard and say mean things to people, but it is fucking courageous to put yourself on the line and step up and be heard. Also, other people's judgments of you are just projections of their unhealed trauma that you are shining light on and not responsible for. And also, you're being judged anyway, even when you're not visible, even when you're just walking down the block to go to the grocery or the bodega or wherever, you're being judged anyway by everyone who sees you. So you might as well be judged for who you really are. And on that note, lean into all the things that scare you about being visible and transmute your fear by doing them. And I know that feels like counterintuitive, but your power is in all the things that you are afraid of about yourself. Let me say that again. Your power is everything that you are afraid of to take ownership about yourself. Like maybe it's like, oh, my voice is too big, or my energy is too big, or, I'm a big person, or I'm a small person, or my voice sounds a certain way, or, all these things you're afraid of. You'll notice after you go over that hurdle, you'll be like, oh my God, I'm just like, I'm so glad I leaned into that, right? Prat Yaksha is saying it's 11 in India, gotta sleep, good night, and I'll watch again. Thank you for being here. And that's what you call commitment, right? Because I heard a lot of people saying, oh, I can't make it. And that's fine. But if someone who's in India at nighttime is like staying up just to get this training, that's called dedication. That's called commitment to what you're creating, right? Be you and let your personality shine. So as you know, I told you a little bit about my background. What I've often kind of mentioned in my posts is that I also came up from a background of punk rock, and I was in the music business. Thank God I'm not there anymore with all the things we're finding out now. But my point being is that, a lot of my rock background, and also, the soul and R&B too, that's part of me as well. But like my music background and my love for music does come out. So like, I did this reel yesterday, and that was a mindful choice, because the choice of the song that I chose, it was this orchestrated version of Guns N' Roses' Sweet Child of Mine, right? And it's like that riff, that riff in the very beginning that you can identify it immediately, like, oh my God, I I remember when, that song came out and I was sitting on the beach or I was with my friend or, like it elicits an immediate response in your body, right? And so it would not elicit the same response if, even though I do have this background in punk rock, I mean, I know about all different kinds of music, world music and all that because of what I experienced in the music business, because I was at major music labels and also indie music labels. And so I saw all of the things. And the thing is that not a lot of people would relate to some punk rock music if I chose a punk rock song. But one song that people understand, that elicits an immediate response, and that guitar riff is classic. Like you have to be under a rock to not know what that song is, right? And everyone's going to be like, oh my God, yeah, right? So that's why I let that part of me shine. I let all my music background shine. I let, all of this stuff, and I also did a zine for like 10 years, which is an independently published magazine. So I did a lot of independent media. So, that comes out too. And also, please stop trying to fit in. Stop trying to fit in. Stop trying to make nice. Stop trying to fit everyone's version of what a light worker is or what you think they think that a light worker is. Stop trying to fit in. You are meant to shine. And if you're really a leader, you're meant to rock the boat. That means you're going to say things that other people are not comfortable listening to. And you're going to say things that will challenge the status quo. And if you are truly up to being of service as a leader, you're going to do it anyway. And to that end, release your need to belong, because that's why we have gotten all these lockdowns and all these things going on in the world, is because, people have this deep need to belong. People have a deep need to belong, and that may be natural. But if you've got a lot of unhealed trauma and you've got a lot of unhealed stuff and a lot of unhealed pain, or you're just simply not aware of who you are, right? You're just going to keep going with that knee-jerk reaction of, oh, I want to do what everyone else is doing. I need to do what everyone else thinks is right, right? Instead of listening to yourself. Release the need to belong. That is going to kill your vibe. And then be your biggest cheerleader, even when others don't get it. So I'm not sure why you showed up today. Maybe you're frustrated that you're a powerful light worker and meant to awaken humanity during our planetary awakening, but you're feeling blocked from embracing your power and visibility. Or it could be that you're feeling stuck because you don't know where to begin with being visible. Or maybe you've heard all the buzz and excitement around others having success as a light worker, activating their power, their visibility, and impact in the world, and you wanted to see how you could make it work for you. Or perhaps you were just curious about what light worker visibility is about. So creating impact by being visible, it rocks, and it can transform your entire purpose, business, and your life. And I believe that if you've been on this training up to this point, you have what it takes to excel with activating your power for optimal impact in the world by being visible. And this is something you can get started with right now. So please remember, everything I've shared with you today is not theory or fluff that might work. It's exactly what I've done in my business to generate a six-figure healing practice, because visibility will do that. It will increase not only your visibility, but your reach and helping more people to be visible in the world, living on mission as a leader of the new earth. And I've helped hundreds of clients and patients achieve connection to their visibility and power so they can be in their purpose and fullest confidence. And it doesn't matter if you're a light worker newbie or have just awakened into your heart and to who you are. It's all about baby steps and taking action. And also, it doesn't matter if you're more advanced either, because there's always more room to grow. So here are some of the benefits of being visible as a light worker. You become unshakable in your truth, more confident. You attract your ideal clients so you can help them transform, heal, raise their consciousness and vibration. And you position yourself as an authority in your field. It's not like someone came around and said, Margarita, I now knight you, an authority on light workers or something, right? Like no one came to me and did that. I just simply kept showing up, kept talking about the same thing over and over and over again. And then now I've become, oh, she's that person who talks about light workers and new earth leaders. She's that person who talks about power activation and being in your power as a light worker and being visible, right? That's how you become an authority. You keep showing up. You help move and inspire people. So if there's one thing to take away, I literally cracked the code and hacked. Like, as you can see, all the tech, all the, checking out the stats and, all that is so important. And activating your power for impact in the world in order to show light workers how to move forward towards their divine purpose. And it's literally changed the world and the world of my clients. It's very much a replicable system that you can apply, as proven by my clients, and you can create the visibility that you want, live an abundant life, and transform yourself into an awakened and confident new earth leader, living fulfilled and on mission. So how can you apply this system to be more visible, get clearer on who you serve and your messaging, so you can leverage the power of and profiting from your activated lightworker gifts? So you have a choice. You can do it slow, the slow way, lone wolf your life, like a lot of lightworkers do. Go through trial and error by taking some of what I've given you today, and maybe go on YouTube and Google and do things and all of this stuff. Or you can do it quickly using my Empower Your Voice and Build Your Movement package. It's my toolkit that will awaken your visibility and lead your movement this year with concrete action steps and support along the way. It's really the quickest and most effective way to get from point A to point B. What exactly is it? It's a special toolkit to help you gain momentum and influence in your purpose, using the secret to empower your voice and lead your movement through visibility. So if you can even imagine feeling confident as a light worker and showing up as that confident light worker, trusting your intuition, having clarity on your purpose, making your big impact in the world, being abundant, doing what's in your highest alignment, and connecting to your destiny. Imagine all that. So this package includes 5 90-minute pre-recorded group workshops with activations to awaken your empowered voice. So this is a value of $2,000. And this, I was actually part of an earlier offering. So when COVID hit, a lot of light workers came to me and they're like, oh my God, Margarita, what do I do now? All of my stuff was in person. All of my services were in person. And I had a storefront, for instance. What do I do now? And so really was to help light workers get super clear, because a lot of light workers were also pivoting, which was like a super popular overused term almost in 2020. But a lot of light workers were pivoting to like, okay, how do I help my people now? Like, how do I even get online? How do I become visible? What do I even talk about? How do I serve my clients, right? Like, so if I created this boot camp, if you will, of how to get clear on who you're serving, how you get to serve them, even starting to help you craft your offerings and price them accordingly at the level of transformation versus, oh, I just want it to be affordable, right? Because if that's your criteria, that's not the alignment that you're looking for, right? So that's one of the things, like each module talks about the stuff. And then there's also implementation, which I talk about as well. So that was those 5 90-minute pre-recorded group workshops. I'm also including here the exclusive Ground Your Power Activation video, which is a $400 value, and also the exclusive Spiritual Leader I Am Affirmations video, and also a Lightworker Visibility Assessment call. It's a 30-minute call with me to help you close your Lightworker visibility gaps. So that comes with it too. And mind you, all of this is lifetime access. So all of these workshops, the videos, these are all yours forever, and you can refer to them at any time. And I actually recommend that you listen to the activations more than once and the trainings more than once. So how much will this cost me? Because I know that's what you're thinking. It's not going to be $4,000, not even $2,700, which is actually the value of this package. The entire experience is just $97. So I think that's doable, right? I think that's a good value. So here's a bonus for you with the package, How to Be Heard as a Leader of Light Masterclass. So it's a little bit different from today's class because today's class is more on being visible and especially with a little zhuzh on social media. And so this is more of like basics, right? And also just really getting into the alignment of what does it mean to be in alignment with my voice, right? So that's a bonus there. It's a value of $400. So so that's that. So that's the recap. And yeah, Rebecca will be in the chat box with the link to this Empower Your Voice and Build Your Movement package. And so I encourage you to hop on that, click on that link, and you'll come to this page where you can fill out all the information. You can actually see more detail about what's in the package, and you can put in your information so you can purchase the package. And so make sure you click on that right now. And yeah, go ahead and click on that. And now I'm actually opening it up to questions. I know we are a little over time, and I appreciate you sticking here. And, you know, I love your commitment, and I'm appreciating you and your time. And I want to just already say thank you for being here. It's been a joy to connect with you in this way. And again, all of this, right? All of this visibility stuff, it's not just for the sake of visibility. It's for the sake of connection. It's for the sake of creating relationships. That's the whole purpose of this stuff, okay? It's about creating relationships, you know, because at the end of the day, when it comes to people buying any of your services, buying any of your products, it's not because, you know, they think you deserve it, right? It's because they feel connected to you. It's because they feel like they can trust you. And you build that by showing up consistently. And if you're always consistently showing up, talking about the same topic, maybe in a different way, or maybe a different dynamic or kind of theme in a different way, then not only will you be seen as the authority that you are, but they're going to start to trust you. And when they trust you, they'll buy. They'll be like, oh, Margarita's got a point, and I vibe with what she's saying. And, you know, I've been watching her stuff because I hear this all the time, right? People will be on calls with me, and woohoo! Someone just came in from Flourish Eternal LLC. Awesome. Great job there. Now you've got that. Make sure that you check your inbox, and that that will happen in the next couple minutes. In your inbox, it'll have an email with all the goodies and all the links. That is yours forever. And if you ever, for God forbid, lose that email, you can always email us and we will hook you up. But that's how you make sales, not by, here's my new car, let me finagle your money from you, which is always what Lightworkers think it is. It's not what it is. Cece's asking, will you have coaching in the future? I have coaching now. I provide mentorship for those who are light workers, who are ready to be new earth leaders and who are ready to be activated in their power. So if that's something you're interested in, you can email me or DM me or whatever is more convenient for you, and we'll talk about it more and can have a conversation. So now I'm going to take a look and see if you guys have questions for me. All right. So remember, by the way, I'm only going to be answering questions just to keep it succinct. I'm only going to be answering questions about being a visible light worker, not about anything else. Okay. So Reagan has a good question here. In Canada, healthcare is free, as she puts in quotes. Individuals struggle to pay for their wellness in energy. And actually, maybe I'll just stop the share so I can read this better and you can see me better. All right. Okay. So my email, it's margarita@alcantaraAcupuncture.com. Or you can just DM me on Instagram or Facebook, that kind of thing. So Reagan was saying, in Canada, healthcare is free. Individuals struggle to pay for their wellness and energy healing, emotional healing, natural healing is not covered by insurance. I sought out my own healing, paying $20K plus to heal, and vowed to offer healing modalities at a balanced price. Navigating prices that are balanced for both the individual and myself, knowing in my heart if prices are lower than usual, logically, I will be supported by source, not an easy road. So that's the problem, is that you're prioritizing lowering your prices. You're prioritizing your scarcity. That's what that is, right? When you're saying, oh, I need to change my prices, I need to make them lower, or I will not get clients. That's coming from scarcity. So that's the important thing to remember here, is that if you are coming from scarcity when you're doing anything, when you're being visible, when you're charging for your services, then you will get people who will be shopping, right? If your priority is to be cheap and your priority is to be affordable, like, I mean, you can, there's a way to do all the things, right? Like, I mean, I charge full price for all of my services, right? But there was a time where I did volunteer work with my acupuncture and my Reiki. And so that made me feel better about stuff, right? Or there's like one day where you can, where I charged an affordable rate that was like sliding scale. But, when you're an acupuncturist, that's actually illegal to, provide sliding scale in general, or sliding scale and your actual rates, right? That's actually illegal for acupuncturists. So, so I just chose one, right? And if people had a problem, then there's community acupuncture, right? So there are ways that people can get their healing. But here's the thing about, if your priority is charging what's cheaper, and if your priority is charging what's affordable and lower, then you've already lowered your standards, you've already gotten out of alignment, and you are going to be coming at it from a place of scarcity. And when you come from scarcity, you will get clients who are in scarcity, because everything that you will attract, you will get, right? Until you work it out. And so, for instance, if your priority, because I did this was one of my biggest mistakes when I first started out. I'm like, oh, let me just make everything cheaper for people. Let me make everything affordable for people. I just feel bad, right? It's like, you're not a charity, right? Unless you are, then you can do all that. But if you're not, and you have a business, it's up to you to be in alignment with how you create your business and how you provide your services. And so that would take realigning yourself so you're not in scarcity when you're making your offerings and pricing them. Because when you are prioritizing making things lower in cost or cheaper, you will get what I call the shoppers. You will get all the people who just they're just shopping around, and basically they're looking for what's cheaper. They're shopping around for what can they get in the biggest way for the lowest price. Those are not your people. I don't care what your service, your product is, you don't want those people, because those people are not interested in healing. Those people are just interested in staying in their head and just being in the logical mind, right? And those are the people who are not willing to transform. They are not willing to do the work. And those are going to be pain in the ass clients in the future. So I do not recommend it. So I hope that helped you. And I'm going to stick to visibility Lightworker questions. So Vyushti says, to increase visibility, do you recommend we put our faces as opposed to a business logo as our profile picture on Instagram? Oh, good question. Great question. So, and I guess I should be saying, I've answered this live. And I've answered this live. I don't know if it matters. But yes, make sure you put your face, please, on your avatar image, because people do not connect to logos. They do not connect to inanimate objects. They connect to people. People connect to people. And if they can see your face, and especially if you're a light worker and you emit a certain frequency and you've been activated at a certain level, right? People can feel you by just looking at you. And that means a photo of you. If you look at a logo, that might be nice, but then people are like, well, who's behind this, right? Like, who's the person that I get to connect to so that I can get the service they're offering, or purchase this product they're offering, right? So people connect with people. So yes, please include your faces. And also make sure that as I'm answering the questions, make sure you're hopping on to getting that $97 package. It's just $97. The value was $2,700. So make sure you hop on that. Christine Palowski, she jumped in as well. Awesome, awesome, awesome. So make sure you're doing that. So Rebecca, make sure to please include these links every so often so people can know. So because people are putting some comments in the chat, so it starts to get pushed up. And I'm seeing some questions here. So Leah says, my question is about fear of being banned on Insta. Any advice about avoiding being shadow banned, or at least not letting that stop us from showing up? So, you know, here's the thing, is like, there are certain words that you can avoid saying on social media to not get automatically banned right there off the bat, right? And if you notice some of the people that you might admire who might say something similar to this truth that you might share with them, right? They're not exactly saying certain things. They're not saying certain words that actually get them banned. They might, like, you know, put numbers in there, or they might have some, you know, like emoticons or something. But, you know, and the thing is that you can still speak your truth, and you can still be explicit if you want, you know, I mean, but the shadow banning is real. And, but don't get that confused with you not putting out good content, right? If you're just simply not putting out good content that no one can understand, or no one relates to, or no one can connect to, then you're not shadow banned. You just need to up your game with your content, right? But in regards to being shadow banned, a lot of people are, yes, getting shadow banned, getting canceled, you know, like their accounts are being suspended and things like that for certain things they're talking about. But as you notice, I talk about similar things, but I don't say the thing, you know, and, you know, and also you get to trust your audience that they're going to read between the lines. Because I say a lot of things that if you are paying attention, I'm saying things in between the lines, and you get to understand what I'm really sharing with you, right? So you get to speak your truth. You can like start off with just avoiding certain words, right? And you can actually make your difference still. Okay, thank you, Rebecca, for including the link. And make sure you hop on this very powerful Empower Your Voice and Build Your Movement package, because, you know, my offerings, they're high end, and because people get high end results, right, as they implement and as they take action. And so this is a really great way to get connected to my work and what I do and my activations, and have that on hand whenever you want, by taking advantage of this package. So make sure you do. Okay. Should I rebrand or start a new account when initially clarifying my business offerings? You can just start clarifying the business offerings and start offering it already, right? Chiyun stepped in. Awesome. I'm so glad you got the package, Chiyun. So I wouldn't say rebranding, such as starting a new account, for instance, but if you already have an account, especially if you've got like one that's got a number of posts already, just start talking about your pivoted offerings, right? Just start talking about it. Just start talking about it. And you might even do a little intro into it of like, you know, I decided that I'm being called forward to share XYZ. And so you're going to be seeing a lot of new types of how I'm showing up for you right now, you know, in my feed. You know, you can let your people know, but you get to do that. You can immediately do that. You don't need to create a new account for it. You don't need to like make excuses for it. You don't need to apologize to people for it. You just do it. And if you want to give some background, you can do that. Okay. And I think I'll take one or two more questions about this. So William is asking about the energy boundaries, and that's like a whole live in itself. It's a whole masterclass in itself. I do have a blog post on that. It's one of my most popular blog posts. So if you just go to alcantaracupuncture.com and, and actually it's in my bio as well. I think there's, let me just take a look here before I say that as for sure. I'm taking a look at my link here because I think I put it in here. Well, I have an article on the top 5 ways to quickly and easily clear your personal energy. So that's for clearing. So that's one part of having healthy energy boundaries, is to regularly clear your energy field. But for strengthening and creating a healthy energy boundaries, I have a whole blog on that. So make sure that you check it out. I think it's called something like How to Deal with Psychic Vampires in the Concrete Jungle or something like that. So make sure you do check that out. And if you've never put out an offering before, is there any reason to scale your prices a bit lower or just go for it? List pricing in the Instagram post, reel, or wait until clients ask. So the truth is no one, well, I don't want to say no one, but most people will not purchase from a post unless you've already been nurturing them. If you only post when you want something from people, they're going to see right through that, right? And that's not your directive. That's not how you want to do your social media. You want to be always providing value, always providing something that will, people can learn from, right? And people can grow from, so that when the time comes that you are sharing, right, you get to share your offers and they'll be like, awesome, great. Well, that sounds like it resonates for me. So yeah. Okay, great. Thank you, Rebecca, for taking care of William. Looks like, just to confirm everything is set, can you send me an email at support@alcantaracupuncture.com so I can double check? Yeah. Oh, I see there's been all kinds of comments here. Okay. All right, so I'm just checking out the comments, making sure. So coming back to the pricing of your offers and selling your offers, I do not recommend that if it's something over $300, and you should have something over $300, and you should have something over $1,000. And if you are playing a big game, you're also giving things that are over a couple $1,000s, right? But I would not recommend making an offer and putting any price points on something that is over like $300, because people will not buy that off the bat, right? Like they're going to want to have a conversation. They're going to want to like know you a little more. Maybe they'll, if you are new, I would recommend having something like a lower priced offering, like $44, $97. But that said, provide tons of value in that package, in that offering. And then as people start to get to know you, then they'll inquire more, and then you can assist them with that process. So Julie's saying, for some reason, I'm not seeing the link. Where's the link to purchase the package? Will it be sent to me via email along with the option to rewatch the recording? Absolutely, Julie. So Rebecca, let me see if she's, yeah, she's sending it to everyone. So it's there. So check out the chat box, because Rebecca is sending it out to everyone. So it is there, and yes, it is going to be in your email later today, and you're going to get it in your email, as well as the 48-hour replay access once that's ready and available, which will be ready and available tomorrow morning. So there will be 48-hour replay from that moment. Victoria and David have both also stepped in. Congratulations, that's amazing. Can't wait to hear your ahas and what you transform as a result of checking out the package and the content there. All right, so I think I got to the majority of those questions here. Just making sure I'm being thorough. All right. Okay. Looks like I got everyone's questions. Seema's asking, what's the cost of a coaching session? I don't provide single coaching sessions. I used to back when I was a little bit more of a newbie, but I actually do more like experiences and also long-term mentorship. So if that's something you're interested in, you can email me or DM me and let's have a conversation on the phone and see what you're looking for. Let's see if I can help you. Lori says, this has been such a great offering. Thank you so much. Looking forward to going through the package. Super deal. Thank you so much for your generosity. You're so welcome. Okay. Yes, you're welcome, Seema. And you're welcome, Margarita. And you're welcome, Zoom caller. I'm not sure who that was, but I'm glad that helped you. And so thank you for your questions. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being at this powerful masterclass to be visible as an empowered light worker. I've given you some chunky nuggets, and the next step really is to get that $97 package so that you can start feeling supported around, okay, how do I create these offers? How do I make one that's in alignment? How do I price it so it's in alignment, right? And how do I show up? And how do I offer my services, you know, and then also get tons of activations and upgrades, right? And it's really important that when you do this work, that you are consistently surrounding yourself with that frequency that you wish to embody, and just over and over and over exposing yourself to it all the time, every day, every given moment if you can, right? And so that's what this offering also provides, is it gives you, you know, even though it's not direct contact with me except for the call, right? But what it will give you is some kind of accountability and some structure around how to approach this. Because if you don't step up and do that, it's going to be super hard to really make your impact in the world. Because if no one can find you, and if you are attracting people who are in scarcity because you're in scarcity and you've got tons of unhealed money stories that are blocking you from money, then those are the things. And I also do talk about money blocks too. I think there was like a whole module on it about clearing your money blocks. So you're going to want to check that out too. Make sure you click the link that's here in the chat box to get that $97 offer for yourself. And it's also going to be in your emails that are going to be forthcoming for the replay. And so make sure you check that out. So thank you so much. We are definitely over time. It was like I slated out an hour and a half, but it became 2 hours. So thank you so much for being here. And I'm so glad to have you. Thank you for your amazing questions and your observations, and for helping each other out in the comments as well, because I saw you do that too. And that's what empowered lightworkers do. They help others. They take opportunities to help others, right? So like all the people who are reiterating some of my talking points here, you were helping others. And when you're an empowered light worker, that's what you do. Okay. So make sure you take advantage of this package. And I look forward to having that conversation with you. For those of you who have purchased the package, there comes that visibility assessment call, which is super important, because if you want me to help you close your gaps around your visibility, like what's not working for you when you're showing up on social media, or maybe, you know, that's your gap, you're not showing up on social media, or, you know, if you're showing up already and you don't know why certain things are working, you know, I will help you close that gap. I will identify it, and I'm going to help you understand what that gap is about, and I'm going to help you close it. So that's the purpose of that call. And then if there's any way that I can support you after that, then I will share that. All right. Thank you, Christine. Thank you, Abby Rose. Oh, I thought you had to jet out, so I'm glad you're still here. Anirudh, I hope I pronounced that correctly. And Giovanna and Joe and Clara, Vyushti, thank you so much for being here, sending you so much love. And I hope that you take what I shared today and really take it to heart and get that package too, so you can be further supported in what you're creating, so that you can really be in your alignment with your visibility and be in alignment with your money, so that you're not, you know, undercharging and bartering and all the things that newbies like to do, right? So that you're charging your worth and making an impact in the world. Okay, so much love to you, sending you so much love, light, and power. Make sure you grab this package. It's still here in the chat box, and it's also going to be in your email. So check out your inbox later today, and also starting tomorrow morning, the replay will be available for you for 48 hours. So check it out. Okay, much love.